What's up, everyone? All right, so in today's episode, I'm going to break down my trades from the morning. But before we do, I actually have some terrible news to share. I know it's going to be hard for some of you to believe. You've already seen the thumbnail for today. Obviously, I had a great day of trading, and I'm coming at you with this hair and this fantastic outfit. And you're thinking, this guy couldn't deliver bad news if he tried. Not looking like that. But I do have bad news. Yesterday, and you may have already heard, Sunday, February 2nd, it was Groundhog Day here in the United States, and the groundhog saw his shadow. And that means that we're going to have an extra 6 weeks of winter. And I know that's a bitter pill to swallow for those of us in the Northeast like myself. We've already been dealing with sub-zero temperatures. Winter's going to be even longer. What's the silver lining? Ross, what's the good news? The good news is that unlike other people, our Groundhog Day sale didn't end yesterday. It is still going on right now, which means you still have a chance to become a member at Warrior Trading. And although it's an extra 6 weeks of winter, you can spend some of that time learning how to day trade, fully immersed in the community of other traders like myself. I can't think of much else better than that. What's a better way to spend the winter? You tell me. You name one thing that's better, and I won't believe you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump onto the screen share. I'm sitting here at $18,615.14 on the day. The two stocks I traded today, a standard biotech breakout stock, biotech stock with news, squeezing up, awesome move, $11,138.48 on that. And then the second stock that I did well on, kind of surprising, a coffee company. Now, I don't usually expect to do well on Reborn Coffee, a coffee shop doing chains, franchise, stuff like that. That's not the type of stock you would expect to go up 100, 200, 300% over the course of a couple days. But in fact, it's made a huge move, and it's right now still up 70% on the day. So as we look at the scans right now, you can tell that our leading gainers are cheaper stocks, right? These are cheaper stocks. But if I pull up my scanner here for top gappers, this is a scan that actually stops updating right at the 9:30 opening bell. So this is a picture of what the gappers looked like going into the open. And if we take it a step further, I have a scan that's Ross's top gappers. And Ross's top gappers are looking specifically at the type of stocks that I like to trade. So the third leading gapper, Reborn Coffee, right here, and the fifth leading gapper, BCTX, right there. So those are the two that I traded. Reborn Coffee currently has over 60 million shares of volume on it. This is a thickly traded stock. It's got volume, but it also had some volatility. So my game plan, as always, is, well, it's pretty much as always. I sit down bright and early and I pull up my scans on my phone. So that's what I did this morning, and I'll pull it up on my phone just to show you kind of what it looks like. So I sit down, or usually I'm already sitting down. In fact, I'm laying down. I'm laying down in bed, and I pull up my scans on my phone. And so just like that, I can see what are the leading percentage gainers, right? So I'm like, okay, what's moving in the market here today? Can you see that? We'll focus. There it is. And I saw Reborn Coffee, and I thought, all right, REBN, I knew they had made a big move on Friday, but, to be honest, I didn't think much of it on Friday because it's, what is this? It's a coffee company. I mean, it's outside kind of the sector of what we would do well on. An operator and franchisor of retail locations and kiosks that focus on serving specialty roasted coffee. Now, what are the margins of a coffee place? I mean, this is how often are we trading something in the theater companies and diner theaters? I mean, this is just not typically the sector we're going to do well on. But nonetheless, it had already made this move on Friday. And then when I first pulled up the chart this morning, I was like, I cannot deny the fact that it has a nice big green candle at 4 a.m. Pulled back, pops up again at about 5 a.m., pulls back, and then comes up again at 6. So I was watching it right here, and coming into 7 a.m., boom, that's the only trade that I took on it. I actually made $12,500, and I gave back $5,000 off the top. So that's our 5-minute chart. Let's get this dialed into the 1-minute time frame. So on the 1-minute time frame on this, we'll go back to about 7 a.m., there was a little bit of a problem. And the problem was we had some ascending resistance here. So the stock had made this high here at about 5 a.m., and then it made another high right here, and then it kind of peaked right in this area at about 6:52. Now, I sort of thought, guys, this is a little early for it to be breaking out. Because if it breaks out here, it's before what time? It's before 7 a.m. So if the stock breaks out before 7 a.m., how many people are going to be able to even trade it? Not very many people. Why? Because a lot of retail traders can't even trade that early. Now I'll pull up my quick broker comparison sheet, which I'm still adding to. But if we just go down here to, let's see, time of day, where is that? Right here, extended hours. So basically all of these brokers that are in, and some of them are on here twice because they're offering different platforms, but everything that's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., that's going to be your typical retail broker. So Robinhood is going to be on here too. So this is all kind of typical. Most traders can't trade before 7 a.m. The earliest most traders will be able to, take their first position is at exactly 7 a.m. There are a few brokers that start at 4 a.m. and TradeStation starts at 6 a.m., but most don't start before 7. And so when I saw this squeezing up here, I thought, well, it's not 7 a.m. yet. I don't know that it's going to work. I don't know that there's enough people that can trade this, that can actually result in it giving us a nice breakout. So then it starts to squeeze anyways. And I was like, golly, all right, well, I might have just missed the boat on this. So coming into 7 a.m., I decided to break the ice, and it popped up here at 6:59 to a high of 7:20. It then dips down right here. Let's go on to the 10-second chart. We're going to get even more granular. And this is what I like about the 10-second chart. I can get even more zoomed in. Okay, so it popped up here, and this, so right here, this is where I took the trade. I took that micro pullback right there. So I jumped in there, it pops up to 720, it pulls back, and then at the open, it goes all the way up to 750, it pulls back, and then it breaks 750 and goes all the way up to 8. Here was my mistake. My mistake was that I sized up as it broke over $8, thinking we were going to get a squeeze to 850. So I added 810 and 815. Uh-oh, in a little too high. It reverses back to 780, and I stopped out. So I gave back like 40 cents a share on that drop, and gave back about just about $5,000. So that was a little disappointing. It dropped down, kind of rallied back up, wasn't able to break back over the high, dropped down, came back up, and I took one more trade right in here, and it just could not break through 780. And so, so it ended up failing again. So that was a little frustrating, to get back a little profit there and then to get back a little profit, on this kind of rejection. I was looking for that squeeze higher, wherever it was, doesn't matter. And it just couldn't do it. So, unfortunately, as the day went on, it sold off all the way back to VWAP, sold off heavily here, and then it ripped at the open and then came back down and then rallied back up and came back down. So, if we look at the chart just in the last couple of days, I mean, it's obviously up a lot from 2 days ago, from $1.70 to a high of, well, it was $8. It's over 300% in 2 days. So it's actually closer to 400%. So, I mean, this is a fantastic move, but you can't complain about it. But I just wasn't able to crush it. This isn't the type of stock I would usually do super well on. And so that was a contributing factor. And then, I already kind of had missed most of the move coming into 7 a.m. But nonetheless, we got a little trade at 7 a.m. there. So made some money, gave back a little bit off the top. All right, so that's 7 a.m. Now, 7 a.m. comes and goes. And after that, I'm sitting here kind of being patient, waiting for the next stock to pop up. So the next stock, I didn't take another trade until 9 a.m. So from 7 a.m., whatever it was, this trade on, what was it? BCTX. No, I'm sorry. I did get one more trade at 7:30. So on 7:30, I got a trade on BCTX. When it first had this news right here, you see this candle right there? I traded that. So it pops up, it spikes up, and I jumped in it because I saw that it had news. And I was like, well, the news seemingly looks good, and the price is squeezing up. So it basically popped up right here to 720, 740. It drops down. I bought this dip right here, and then it pops back up to 770. So I only took small size on that. I made about $1,000, something like that, maybe $1,500. So a small trade right there, even though it was over $1 a share from my entry to the top. I just didn't take big size on it. The volume was light and I wasn't totally sure. So it ends up pulling back. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. Kind of goes a bit lower. And then on the 1 minute chart, it kind of starts to curl back up. And so I got back in it right here as we broke over VWAP for the break of 6. And it pops up to 640. And then right at about 640 was a 20,000 share seller. So they kind of pushed it back down. So I was like, well, that didn't work so well. And then it kind of comes back up here at 640. And when it held over 640, I said, you know what? I'm going to get back in. And right here, this is what had to happen. It had to hold over the previous resistance. It pulled back. And then that's when I was like, okay, I can trade this. So got a trade here up to 715, drops down. And in this area, I was just actively trading it, buying dips and looking for the squeeze higher. And it did push higher. It came up to a peak of about 780, just under 8, something like that, 787. And then it dipped down here. And I said, I'm not going to get back in right here. Why? Well, there were a couple of things that I was a little bit concerned about. So the first, and if we look at this on a 5-minute chart, you can see that we were having a bit of an issue with these topping tails. Big topping tail here, and then a topping tail here, and then a topping tail here. I don't usually like that. That makes me a sad puppy. So I said, I don't like these topping tails because I just feel like I can't trust it. It's squeezing up, but it's selling off. It's squeezing up, it's selling off. But then once it was able to hold that 640 level, I was like, all right, if it's holding, let's see. And it starts to pull away. But as we came back up here, I was still like, but what about that topping tail? And so we squeezed up, and then when we reversed, I just thought, yeah, that's not surprising. So, I was able to get some decent profit in it, considering the fact that it really only went from about $6 to $7 a share. It's only $1 a share, but I was able to pull out $11,000 from this. I cannot wait for the next stock that goes up 10 points, that goes from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, all the way up to $18 a share. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep grinding on, these base hit sort of trades. And for me right now, the base hits are larger in dollar amount because I'm trading with bigger share size. So I'm being more aggressive, which makes sense because we've been in such a hot market. So now the first day of February is in the books. I've got a cushion, and I'm really, honestly, this morning when I sat down, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it was February. I had sort of forgotten what day of the month it was, or what day of the week or anything. So I was just sitting down, basically focusing on trading what was right in front of me. And if we clear this, let's see, this was, I was running a report from April of last year. But if we look at this right here, I am just focusing on getting as close as I can to $20,000 per day, because $20,000 a day is fantastic. $20,000 a day is 2020 trading, right? 2020, 2021 GameStop era, that's $20,000 a day market. So right now, we are in a $20,000 per day market. In fact, if we look at my P&L, and by the way, I'll remind you as always, my results are not typical. I've been doing this for a long time. So I don't want you to assume that you're going to join on the Groundhog Day sale and you're going to start making $20,000 a day tomorrow. That's not realistic. That's not how it's going to happen. The right thing to do is to start with the approach that you're going to focus on trading in a simulator. Guess what? We're going to give you 3 months of access to a simulator so you can practice these new strategies you're learning in a safe environment. But you're going to focus on building your process each day. What are the steps I'm going to follow each day to sit down, to get organized? What's my checklist? Did I eat well? Did I sleep well? Do I have a couple stocks on watch that I like? How's my hair? And if all of those are a yes, and you definitely want to double check the hair, then this is a good day to be aggressive. All right, so that's kind of my approach, is like, I want to have a process that I follow every day. Now, you can see I've been averaging about 21,000 per day since November 1st. All right, if we go back to October 1st, $20,000 a day. So if I can maintain $20,000 a day, that's a $5 million year for 2025. 5 million 2025, that does sound nice. Now, 2024 was a good year, but it was the majority of the profit came from the last 4 months of the year, the last 5 months of the year. The first 6-7 months of the year were relatively slow. So I'm hoping that that here in 2025, we're able to maintain this pace. But the fact is, I don't know. it could slow down. It could slow down next month. It could slow down next week. It could slow down tomorrow. We just don't know. So in the meantime, while we're in a hot market, I'm going to keep digging deep and trying to be as aggressive as I can. So I feel like I really fully capitalized on this opportunity. Because as I look back at 2020, something that I sometimes think is that if I only knew how good we had it, at that time, I didn't realize how slow it would be a couple years later. 2023 was just so slow. 2022, Federal Reserve creates a recession by jumping the interest rates to historic level. Well, jumping them at a historic rate to levels that were higher than we've had in a very long time. And all of a sudden the market slows down. And making $5,000 a day is a struggle. Making $2,500 a day, not even consistently. So looking back, I'm like, I wish I had been more aggressive in 2020 to capture more of that profit, maybe to trade a little longer each day and to trade with a little bit bigger share size. And so I've learned, you learn from these ups and downs. So the thing I learned from going through that crazy bull market and then into the bear market is that when it's hot, I need to put the pedal to the metal and capitalize on the opportunity as much as I can. And then when it's cold, take my foot off the gas and coast. I've done a good job in the hot market. Now I have a cushion and I could just be really patient. That is the right way to do it. That's my approach. That's the way I feel. So anyways, that's where I'm at here today, locking up a solid day, and I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning, live streaming 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you guys who are not already a member, when you tune in tomorrow, all you have to do is click on this button right here. That'll have the words live in red, and you'll be able to log in right there. And that's how you'll launch my broadcast. So once you open the small cap room, you can load my broadcast just like that. All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the chat room bright and early tomorrow. Let's make the most of this extended winter. Let's make the most of February. Let's make the most of the opportunity that's in front of us right now. Thank you for tuning in. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there is no guarantee that you will find success, whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So please manage your risk, take it slow, and practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. I'll see you live streaming tomorrow at 7 a.m.